Hello, my name is Father Len McMillan. I am the pastor here in Coeur d'Alene at St. Pius Parish, and this year we're doing the Year of Grit. It's going to be the virtue we promote to our kids, especially at Holy Family Catholic School. And I want to urge parents that there's this great book by Angela Duckworthy called The Power of Grit. And in it, she first was a junior high math teacher, and some kids are naturally gifted at math. So she kind of thought those kids are going to be the best of the best by the end of the year. But they weren't. The ones who were really great at math at the end of the year were the kids that asked a lot of questions, who failed, but kept working on the problem. Those were the ones who succeeded. So later, when she got her PhD in psychology, West Point hires her because West Point had this problem that they take the best of the best, academically, athletes, but within the first 2 months of school, a huge percentage drop out, and it made no sense to them. She thought back to when she was a school teacher. So she does these psychological tests, and she comes out with this algorithm to predict who will be successful, and grit doubles your score. So she could accurately predict who at West Point would go through, what kids in a spelling bee will become the finalists, what salesmen are going to be the best. It worked for everything. And the point being is that grit doubles your score at success. So for our kids, I want them to be very gritty. It's a virtue from the Holy Spirit, perseverance. But the interesting part is you can change your grit score. We can change the grit score of our children. So grit is like a muscle that just needs to be trained and strengthened. And they've done tests where older generation, they tend to be more gritty. The younger generation in the United States is losing their grit. You find the same thing in the Bible. God chooses freed slaves because they had determination and grit to build a nation. But later, generations later, they lose their grit, and God calls them fat cows that depend on other people to take care of them. So just as a generation can lose their grit score, we can also increase it. So what I'm going to be doing every couple weeks is giving homework to parents and grandparents and the whole community so that we can increase our grit score and our children's grit score. And so the first bit of homework is fail like a winner. That to get grit, you need to have failure. Sounds strange, but remember Angela Duckworthy has this thing called the perfect fragiles, that those West Point cadets, some of them, they had private coaches and private tutors, and they were perfect. Like they were the best of the best. But the one thing they didn't have in their life was failure. So yeah, they can get the job, but they can't keep it. We can get kids to college. We have a high rate in the United States of getting kids to college. We also have an incredibly high dropout rate because they're not used to failure. Or I know this kid who, full-grown adult now, who his family used to call him the golden child because he was just a naturally gifted athlete, never had to try hard. And he was gifted, but the problem is, as an adult, because he never failed, he never learned how to try hard. So he always gives up. And grit is ability to fall 7 times and get up an 8th time. That's why Christ, when he stumbles with the cross, he gets up again. What impedes us empowers us. And so parents, the first ingredients of gaining grit is failure. Have your kids do an activity they're not great at. People who are raised with grit see failure as a need to try harder. People who are raised without failure, without grit, see failure as an excuse to give up. We want our kids to be gritty. So parents, don't be snowplower parents. Snowplower parents are ones that just remove all the problems for their kids. You're going to turn them into perfect fragiles. Let the kids fail and struggle. I know this sounds strange. It's good for them. So the homework that I'm actually really giving this week is parents and grandparents, tell stories to your kids and grandchildren how hardship and failure made you more successful. The road to success is actually through failure. So fail like a winner. Tell them stories of your own failures that made you a better person. So that's the first bit of homework. Parents, God bless, and I'll talk to you later.